let's talk a little bit about your role or MDR's role in something like the Log4j situation.
Yeah. So it's a great question. So one of the things that I would tell everybody is, and again, motherhood and apple pie. All of the best things you can do for security are all relatively straightforward, right? But one of the things that that as an organization running software you want to do is you want to have some sort of a response plan for when something like this comes out. Now, your MDR provider should be in this condition contacting you to say, hey, there is this vulnerability, right? If they know your environment, like reaching out and saying, hey, there's this vulnerability, and we think you might be vulnerable to it, right? Particularly if they have a vulnerability management component to their service or something, they can probably proactively do that. But then the other thing is, can your MDR provider stretch, right? Can they then say, okay, we know what an attack on this would look like. We're going to go look for evidence of it, so that we're not just responding kind of after. We're going to get a little proactive here. We're going to dig in. And then the last thing, and this is when you ask about differentiator, something that we're actually really proud of, is that we say that we're transparent, right? The workbench that we use to do our work is also 100% available to our customers, so they can come in and see all of the stuff we do in real time. One of the things I would say, if anybody's using a third-party provider, and I always encourage people to, I am a third-party provider, is are they transparent? Like, are they an extension of your team? Like when the balloon goes up and you're dealing with a Log4j thing, you have a plan for how your organization is going to operate. How well does your vendor fit into that plan? How well does the communication go? Right? That's a thing from an MDR perspective. The last thing I call out is a longer term thing, right? So one of the things that I deal with a lot is security teams who are building their own detections, they're writing their own stuff, they're building their own infrastructure, that kind of thing, which is all very interesting and I think sometimes useful activities. But as the security landscape shifts and you see things like Log4j, SolarWinds, et cetera, where the risk is actually coming from these third parties, right? The risk isn't like, it's not in my business, it's in my supplier's business.
Sure.
The notion of what your team might want to be focused on may want to shift. Right. And so if you think about the security team in 5 years, I think they're going to be a lot more embedded in the business. They're going to be worried a lot more about third-party risks. They're going to be thinking a lot more about supply chain stuff, things like this, and a little bit less about detection, because detection is one of those things that you can actually get a third party to be very, very good at, right? So I think as the puck moves, we may see an evolution in that direction, right? Similar to like IT outsourcing as an example. Like if you back up 30 years ago, 40 years ago, nobody did IT outsourcing because it was really complicated. You had to do that yourself. And then it kind of became a little bit more, de rigueur, and people started doing it as outsourcing. So